guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nadine, and welcome back to this brand new video. If you're new here, welcome, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. And if you are a returning subscriber already, part of my YouTube family, thank you guys for tuning in and sticking by me so far. So this video was highly requested. I get so many messages, so many comments about the preceptorship program, what it is all about, what happens on a preceptorship program, what do you need to do when you're on a preceptorship program. So I decided to film a quick video just telling you guys about my preceptorship program, what I've been doing, what I need to do. I'll also show you guys my preceptorship book and tell you guys what I need to get signed off and all of that good stuff. So let's get into this video. So a preceptorship program is basically designed to guide you and support you after you've qualified from student to newly qualified midwife or nurse, whatever the position is. It's just a period of time where you are given that extra support, given that extra guidance, because you're now no longer a student, you're now a qualified registered member of the team. So you need that time or that period where you are kind of supported, guided. They acknowledge the fact that you was just a student 2 seconds ago, and now you are qualified. You're not just going to be automatically great at your role or experienced. You need that time to kind of transition and be supported in that. So the preceptorship program is basically designed to integrate you into your new role. If you are going to midwifery like I did, you are then supported, you are guided, you are given basically the tools to help you become a good midwife or to build on your experiences that you either gained or didn't gain as a student. So the preceptorship program is designed to kind of bridge the gap from student to qualified midwife, and it kind of equips you and it gives you all the tools you need to be autonomous, to be the best possible midwife you can moving forward from student to midwife. So there are loads of benefits to preceptorship programs. There are benefits for you as the individual who's starting a new role. There's benefits for the employer. There's benefits for the clients or the patients that you're looking after. So the benefits to you as a newly qualified midwife is that you gain some more experience or gain some more knowledge in your role. You become more confident. You become more competent in your role. You get to learn things that you weren't able to learn as a student. For example, if you weren't able to give IV medication, or if there was certain medication that you weren't able to give as a student, or if you weren't able to, for example, suture any perineums, you are then given that time to kind of build on that skill before you are thrown in and left on your own to kind of get on with it. So the preceptorship program is there to enable you to basically build on the skills you already have, and also build on the skills that you didn't get a chance to build on as a student. And you're kind of not left on your own. You're supported, you're guided, you're given like a structured plan before you are left on your own, before you are seen as more competent in your role. So that's one of the benefits, or some of the benefits, for you as an individual starting a new role. It makes things a lot easier for you, less scarier, because it's scary 1 minute you were a student, you had a mentor that was looking after you, that was supporting you, that was kind of guiding you and showing you, and now that you are qualified and you're starting in your new role, you kind of you have a pin, so there's things that you are left to do on your own. So it kind of bridges the gap and makes sure that you are confident and competent in your role and in your skills, and it basically just helps you build and be more confident in yourself as a newly qualified person. So the benefits for the employers with a good preceptorship program is that it enables them to retain their midwives or nurses or newly qualified professionals. It also helps improve the employees' skills, therefore delivering very high quality care to the patients, the people that they look after, which is what an employer wants. So with a good preceptorship program, it builds on the newly qualified's experience and knowledge and makes them more more competent, enabling them to deliver high quality and safe care to those that they are caring for. It also makes employers want to stay within that role for a longer period of time rather than just leaving, because when people have a better knowledge, better experience, better support and better guidance, they tend to stay within that trust or stay within that organization rather than just leaving. So those are the main benefits for the employers. Helps them retain the staff, better care, you know, safe care, effective care that is, you know, given to their patients. And also it makes you know, working life a lot better if, you know, the newly qualified midwife or nurse knows what they're doing, they're competent, you know, things run smoother within that organization. And yeah, people are just not, you know, all over the place, confused. People are not leaving because they're not getting the support that they need, or they feel like they're underskilled, they don't have the right skills, or they're not as competent to stay within that role. So that's the benefits for the employers. So the benefits for the clients or patients that are being looked after, with a good preceptorship program, it enables, you know, newly qualified midwives or nurses to be skilled and competent within their role. So the patients and clients are receiving high quality care. They're looked after by midwives or nurses that are very competent in their role, that are very confident in their role. Therefore, they have better patient satisfaction, they have better care, they have a better experience. With a good preceptorship program, this enables, you know, the clients and the patients to have a better overall experience when they're in hospital and when they are looked after, you know, midwives that are very competent in their role, that know what they're doing, rather than being looked after by midwives that are not sure in their role. They don't know what they're doing, they're getting things wrong all the time, or they're just all over the place. So with a good preceptorship program, this allows clients and patients to feel very looked after, to feel secure in their care, to have safe care, to have effective care, and therefore have an overall better health outcome when they use the service. So the preceptorship program usually is between 6 to 12 months. So you are guided within those 6 to 12 months. You are, you know, supported by senior members. You are given, you know, educational material. You are given time out to have study days. You are shadowing. You are not counted in the numbers most of the time. So you are then, you know, supported when you go on shift. So this differs between trust to trust, but in the trust that I work is between 6 to 12 months. So at the 6 months mark, we are able to then transition and become band 6. But then when you become a band 6, you can still continue as a preceptor up until the 12th month, and then you know, finish your preceptorship program and you become a completely, you know, autonomous band 6 on your own without, you know, being under the preceptorship program. But that's just solely for my trust and where I work, and that's basically how we do it. So for my trust, you are basically allocated a preceptor who is then looking after you, making sure that you are not completely lost or completely left on your own. That preceptor helps you with your competencies, making sure that you know what you're doing, you know your deadlines, you're getting things signed. If you have any worries, if you have any questions, you go to that preceptor. So when I started, I was allocated a preceptor. I knew her name, I had her email, and then I was given the time to make sure that I, you know, reached out to her, made myself known, had, you know, the initial meeting. We spoke about our goals, what I needed to achieve, if I have any worries, any anxiety, basically formed that relationship, and we both know where we stand moving forward. And that person is basically my point of call. Obviously, I have my manager there, that if I have any like worries or any problems, I could also go to my manager. So your allocated preceptor is someone that is more senior, someone that has been qualified for more than a year or more. That person is just basically there to kind of support you, guide you, and give you the knowledge and skills that they have. And if you have any anxieties, any worries, if you're worried about things, or if you have questions about signing things off, or if they need to sign your book off, you will go to that person. So my preceptorship program involves in, you know, study days. So we have study days where we learn things like cannulation, because as a student midwife where I trained, we weren't allowed to cannulate, we weren't allowed to do anything via IV, we weren't allowed to give any IV medication, we weren't allowed to cannulate. So as a newly qualified midwife on a preceptorship course, we were given the time to go and study and learn how to cannulate. Once you then have that session and that lesson in cannulation and giving IV medication, IV drugs, you then go out into practice and then you start cannulating, you start giving IV medication. This differs in every trust, but for my trust we have to cannulate 5 people successfully, and then you get that signed off and you no longer have to be chasing people up for signatures, because it does get annoying. Even now that I'm qualified, I still have to chase people up to get things signed off, things, you know, people to like observe me, supervise me with certain things. So we need to do good cannulations, 5 very successful cannulations. After you get them signed off, then you no longer have to be supervised. You can cannulate, you know, when a woman needs to be cannulated. You don't have to run after people to get things signed off. Also, I had a study day for suturing, because as a student we weren't given the opportunity to suture, although we were observing suturing and we were allowed to suture. My period of suturing was, you know, cut short because of the pandemic, so I never actually got to suture as a student. So we had a study session where they taught us how to suture, and now I have a competency book on suturing. So every time I do a suture, I have to get, you know, I have to be supervised and I have to get that signed off before I can, you know, completely do it on my own without any supervision or without any kind of like assistance. You can still have assistance after you get signed off. You know, there's some good midwives out there that still want to support you even after you get signed off, whether it's cannulation or suturing. There are people there that can still support you if you're still not confident after being signed off. So you can still, you know, ask for help or ask people to observe you while you suture or cannulate, even after you have been signed off and as competent in that skill. So also with my preceptorship program, we have to do some e-learnings with some training to do with safeguarding. We have training in, what else do we have training in? IV medication training. We have medication training as well. There's just like so many like e-learnings that we have to do. So in order for you to give IV medication, so giving IV medication is separate to cannulating. So you do your cannulation session, you do your 5 cannulation, and then you get signed off. But on the other side, you have to also do a e-learning on IV medication, how to give IV medication and all of that. After you do that and get your certificate, then you're now able to give IV medication. Without doing that IV e-learning, we were not able to give IV medication. We were not signed off. So it all depends on the trust or organization you work in. But for my trust, we had to do an IV medication e-learning in order for us to start giving IV medication. IV medication and cannulation were 2 different skills that we had to, you know, do under supervision separately and get signed off separately in order for us to go out and do it on our own. So moving forward to shift pattern. So as a newly qualified midwife on a preceptorship program, you still have to do the normal shift pattern as anyone else. So you do your long days, your nights, either on labour ward, postnatal ward, antenatal, community, antenatal clinics. You do it all. Just as a normal band 6, 7, 8 would work, you also do the same. It's just that you are under the umbrella of a preceptor, newly qualified midwife, but you still have to do the normal shift pattern as everyone else. So when I started off in DAU. I was doing 3 shifts a week, long days and nights. Well, DAU is just long days because they're not open at night. So I was doing long days in DAU. I was in DAU for about 3 weeks, and then I moved to birth center where I was doing long days and nights, and currently I am now on labour ward doing long days and nights. So So you do the usual shift pattern as everyone else, but you are a supernumerary, you are a preceptor. So in my trust where I work, you become a supernumerary midwife for 2 weeks every time you move to a different area. So going back just a little step, so as a preceptorship, you are expected to rotate and work in every single area as a newly qualified midwife under the preceptorship program. So you don't just stay on labour ward, or you don't just stay on the birth centre or the postnatal ward. You are expected to literally work in every single area. So they structure it out so that you are given enough time and you know where you're going, and you basically are allocated to work in every single area. So when you go into every single area, this is subject to my trust and where I work, you become a supernumerary midwife for 2 weeks every time you join a new area. So when I was on birth center, I was supernumerary for 2 weeks, and supernumerary basically means you are not counted in the numbers. You're basically there as an extra. You are still getting paid, you know, your normal pay, but you are there as basically supernumerary. You're not counted in the numbers. You are there as an extra person here to learn and kind of know what you're doing. So on my supernumerary days or shifts, when I turned up to work, I was allocated a more senior midwife to kind of work with. So you double up with someone that's more senior, that's been there for a while, or that's been qualified for a while, and you basically work with them just as you did as a student. You know, you were assigned to a mentor. As a supernumerary midwife, you are allocated someone to work with. You're not just there to observe, you're not just there to shadow. Obviously there are things you can't do if you're not signed off, like give IV medication if you haven't done your e-learning. So you are there to work with that midwife, and you are there to basically be taught things. If you're new to the trust, you know, they'll show you how things work, how to document, how to do your documentation, how to, you know, care for the women, and all of that. They basically show you how to do things while you're still supernumerary for those 2 weeks. I'm now on labour ward, and I also got my 2 weeks supernumerary, so I was allocated a midwife, and the midwife can always change. You don't always have the same midwife. Sometimes they do your rota so you're allocated to just one person, so every time you come on shift you're working with that same person. But for me, when they did my rota, I wasn't allocated to someone specifically. So every time I was on a shift, the coordinator will just allocate me to a midwife that is available, that doesn't have a student, or that is working in an area that will benefit me more. So yeah, I will come on shift, I will work with the midwife, we'll basically work together. If she's looking after a woman doing one-to-one care, she will document, then the next time I will document, or we'll do the medication together. If I hadn't passed my IV medication, I will just observe her giving the IV medication, or if I had passed my IV e-learning medication, she will watch me give the IV medication and then she will sign me off. Or if I was cannulating or suturing, I had her to kind of observe me, guide me in suturing or cannulating. So it is very, very essential that you have your supernumerary period. If you join a trust that you haven't worked at before and you are not given that time to be supernumerary, please talk to your managers and try and arrange a supernumerary period. Because for me, I joined a completely new trust where I didn't train, and I made it known that I had to work with someone to show me around, because obviously I didn't train there. They just thought, okay, she's a midwife, she's got a pin, she can do it. I was like, no, I need my supernumerary period. I need to be taught things, I need to be shown things, I need to be shown around, I need to be shown how you guys do this. You know, your guidelines, your protocols can be different to where I trained. So it's very important that you are given that time to be supernumerary, to be taught and to be guided. And if you don't have that supernumerary period, I say you say something to your preceptor or your manager and get that arranged to you ASAP, because after your supernumerary period runs out, you are left basically on your own. You are counted in the numbers. You will be given women to look after, and if you don't know what you're doing, you will just be lost and all over the place, and that woman won't receive the the necessary care she needs, or things will just be left out or missed out. So make sure you say something if you are not given that time to be supernumerary, because that is very, very, very important. So in my trust as a band 5 on a preceptorship program, you get paid as a band 5 until you move on to band 6 pay. So from the moment I started, I was getting paid as a band 5 midwife on a preceptorship program. The pay varies where you work. Obviously, if you're in London, you get the London weighting and all of that jazz, and if you're outside of London, you don't get the London weighting, and it's a lot, the pay is a lot different. But for my company, or for my trust where I work, we start as a band 5, and then 6 months you move on to your band 6, and then you get paid as a band 6. So also, as a preceptor on a preceptorship program, within my trust, we are not able to be mentors until we have finished our preceptorship program. So if you join the trust and they have the same rule, it's basically you can't have students, because obviously you're newly qualified. They're not supposed to give you students to look after or to teach. You are just learning, yourself. You were just a student like 2 seconds ago. So if you are given students and you are not able to help the student learn, make sure you make it known. Tell your midwife in charge, tell your manager that you are given a student. So where I work, we are not giving students to work with, because they see us as also just newly qualified, trying to find our feet. So it wouldn't be fair on the student to be working with a newly qualified midwife, because there's only so much you can teach them. You were just a student yourself 2 seconds ago. So a band 5 on a preceptorship program isn't given a student to work with, because you are also trying to find your feet and trying to figure it out. So it will just be 2 confused people together, and it just wouldn't be great. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my preceptorship program, what I've had to do, what I've been doing, and I'll also show you guys my preceptorship book. So when I first started, obviously I had orientation to the whole department. I went to every single department. I met all the managers or the matrons of each department. Everyone was introduced to me. I was introduced to everyone. So my manager, prepared a preceptorship pack for me with everything that I need to kind of learn and everything that I need to complete within the 6 or 12 months of being a preceptor. So basically it's like being a student all over again. I have a bunch of new competencies that I need to complete, and it's just like, I thought I was done with this, but I get a whole new book and I have to chase people to get things signed off. It's very, very annoying, but on the other side, it's actually very good for us, because we then feel supported, we feel more confident, we feel more competent in what we're doing. It also highlights areas where you're struggling in, or areas you need to improve. So at first I was like, I don't really want another book to sign. I really don't want to be chasing people for signatures. But I then realized I have a lot that I need to learn. I have a lot of skills that I need to perfect. I have a lot of things that I just haven't done as a student. So this is actually a very good idea. There's so many people that literally hate having this book, but I feel like it helps you in the long run. It helps you become the better midwife that you need to be in the future. It helps you be more confident in your role, be able to deliver the, be able to deliver the safe care that you need to for the women and their family. So basically has loads of kind of competencies that I need to get signed off, and it's all in sections. So it has sections like delivery suite competencies, postnatal ward competencies, antenatal competencies, community competencies, DAU, triage. So every area you go, there's like a page for competencies that you need to get signed off in that area. and it also has like essential competencies that are just like essential to the whole kind of midwifery, and you can get signed off in any area. So these are basically the, you know, essential skills that we need to get signed off that are not really specific to any department. For example, communication skills, documentation, electronic record keeping, prioritizing workload, and all of that jazz. So we also have working in theatre, knowledge of emergency equipment, we have epidural support and management. So if you are setting up epidural and you know how to manage it, you know how to give women top-ups and all of that, you can get that signed off. So those are the basic competencies that you can get signed off anywhere. And then here are my delivery suite competencies. I don't know if you can see that correctly. So that's basically what it looks like. So you have competencies like is competent in admitting a client in labor. So if you're competent in admitting a client in labor on your own after you've been observed or supervised by someone more senior, they can just sign that off and then you're basically done. It just has loads. It has stuff like can manage Synto infusion safely either in the intra or immediate postpartum period. That's something else that we weren't able to do as students, and that's something that we are given an opportunity to actually build on and actually be taught before we are thrown in there to kind of give symptometry infusion on our own. So that is another example of something that is needed, and that I was just like, oh, competencies, but giving Synto infusion, I didn't do that as a student. So having that in my book, I can now be supervised and supported in doing that before I'm left to do that on my own. So at the moment, as you can see, I have one thing signed off and I have loads of them to do. I've just been in labor ward for 2 weeks, so I haven't actually had the time to actually get this signed off. So this is the postnatal section with all the postnatal competencies. So it's this section and this section, and that is literally it. They're not that many things because most of the things you need to be able to do to have been doing like as a student, and you had to get that signed off already. So these are things that are not already, that weren't already in your student book or student pad that you had. So the postnatal period, so can admit mothers and babies to the ward appropriately. That's one. Actively engages with maternity lounge discussions. So maybe if you are putting together like a postnatal teaching session for the women and their families, so you can get that signed off. Is competent in providing care for mothers following normal birth. I mean, that's pretty basic. We had to do that as students anyway, so you can get that signed off easily because you do that anyway. Is competent in providing care for mothers following a cesarean section. We did that as students already, so that's another easy one. So these competencies are not that hard because most of them we did them as students, so they're not, you know, really like dire scary. So the next one is competent in providing care for mothers following PPH. We did that as students, so that's pretty basic. So another, let me try find something that I didn't do as a student. For let's see. So this one's a very rare one that I didn't do as a student. Is aware how to measure and cite an NG tube for neonates. Now I'm looking at that and I'm like, so I have to insert an NG tube for a neonate? Is aware how to measure and cite an NG tube for neonates. I mean, I didn't even know we had to do that, but it's there, so I'm guessing there'll be times where an NG tube is needed. Okay, so another one that I'm just like, whoa. This one is competent in testing pH level and administrating NG tube feeds. I mean, I didn't see that as a student. I haven't come across that as a student, so it's here. If it's something that is done regularly in the postpartum period, then I guess it's something that I will be supported in, and it's a skill that I will then gain. So I haven't, as you can see, these are all blank. I haven't had any of these signed off because I haven't been on the postnatal ward yet. So when I then go on the postnatal ward, I will then have time to get all of this signed off and all of these skills done and completed. So moving on to the next page, so this is the antenatal section for all the antenatal competencies that I need to do. So the basic one, like, is competent in admitting an antenatal woman to the ward, is competent in vaginal examination and complete stickers correctly for each examination. So when you do a vaginal examination, can you correctly do that, and can you correctly do the right documentation to go with that vaginal examination. Is aware of the protocol for providing care for women with prolonged rupture of membranes. Yes, that's something else that we need to learn. You kind of touch on it as a student, or you are taught about that as a student in your trust, but here they put it in here just to make sure you are aware of how they do it, the protocol, you know, what you have to do, what are the limits, and your parameters on prolonged rupture of membranes. Can show evidence of providing care for women through the induction process. That's something else. When I was a student, I really didn't have that much time on the antenatal ward, like doing inductions and all of that. So this is very, very good that I have it, because I didn't gain this experience as a student. So now, you know, on the preceptorship program, you are then given the time to actually work on those experiences or on those skills that you didn't get to do as a student. That's why when I was, you know, given this book side eye, but when I was going through it and I was like, there's a lot of things that I didn't, it just makes you realize there's a lot of things that I didn't do as a student, and if I was left to do it on my own, I would really, really struggle. So yeah, I came to understand the need for this book and why we have it. So here in this book we have a list of all my trainings that I need to do, all the trainings that I have done. So I'll basically just be adding the dates for all the training that I've been on, and these are the list of trainings that I need to do in order to complete my preceptorship. So yeah, so this is basically what the my preceptorship book looks like. And as you can see, I've been on the birth center and I've got everything signed off. When I was on the birth center, I've completed my birth center competencies. So it had things such as midwife is aware of water birth guidelines. So I did a lot of water births when I was on the birth center, so I got that signed off. What else is there? So another thing that is on there is competent in printing newborn stickers for NBBS, which I did as a student and which I just got signed off when I was qualified. So there's just a lot of things here that are repetitive, and there's a lot of things that are new that you maybe didn't get a chance to do as a student, and that you are now given the opportunity to do that skill when you are qualified. So this is the DAU, triage, FMU page with all your other competencies related to that area. So it has stuff like the booking interview, antenatal encounters, safeguarding support for vulnerable families, and all of that, you know, postnatal encounters. So all the women that you meet in DAU or in triage that have either come in from home with like an issue or a problem, are you then able to help them with, you know, what they've come in for and what they are reporting with. So that is that section. So in each section of the book you have like a progression page, which you sit down with your preceptor or your manager and you basically complete it. So it's just basically to say that you have progressed in that section, you have completed it, and it's either you have passed it or you need an action plan or you failed it and all of that jazz. It's just like a one-to-one session where they sit with you and be like, okay, have you completed your DAU section with all your DAU competencies, and they'll write yes or no or not applicable. Is there any action plans? Is there any comments? And then you get signed off for that section, and then you just move on to the next point. So we also have my community section, where I go to the community with all my community competencies. So as you can see, it's completely blank because I am not yet, or I haven't had the chance to go out in the community. I'll go to the community towards the end of my preceptorship program, so this will be blank until like the end. So it has like stuff like, you know, conducting and doing a booking interview for women, be able to demonstrate the rationale for ultrasound scan during the antenatal period, be able to recognize deviation from normal pregnancy and make appropriate referrals. So you need to be able to like make referrals on your own, and also be able to recognize when a woman needs to be referred to either have scans or to another team for either mental health support, safeguarding support, serial growth scan, or needs a consultant and she is either high risk or she is low risk. So you need to be able to understand and be able to recognize these things. So they're basically just trying to see if you are aware of what you need to do in those situations and how you would go about it. So yeah, that's basically what my preceptorship book looks like. Those are basically my competencies. Also within my preceptorship program, we have an elective week where we get to choose where to go while we're on the preceptorship program. So you can say, I want to go to DAU for a week, or I want to go to community for a week. You basically pick an area you would like to work in, and you'll go there for a week and you work there for a week. So it has an elective week. You say where you want to work, you give it to your manager, she will arrange it within your rota, make sure that you are placed there and you have your elective week. So that is basically my book. Now I'm gonna show you guys the structure of my preceptorship program. Oh yeah, also within the book you have things like this, you know, like it's like a workbook. Like towards the end you have workbooks and questions that you need to fill out, which is similar to our student books. We had like, you know, student little booklets that we need to fill in questions and all of that jazz. So it's basically the same. So you have questions, you just write in the answers, questions, writing the answers. So I've been filling that in because I don't want to be left behind, because normally I leave things till the last minute, but I was like, no, every chance that I get, I am filling this out. As you can see, I've been very, very good. I've been on top of, you know, this book, and I've been trying to get as much done as I can so that I'm not rushing behind and I'm not left behind and I just get shouted at by my mentor or my manager. So I need to get most of this done. So this is my record of supervised repairs. As you can see, I haven't done any repairs just yet because I've been on the birth center, and majority of the time the women that I've cared for on my own or supervised, they've just had intact perineums. So I haven't had the opportunity to suture anyone because my perineums are intact. Like every woman that I've looked after for the past 4 months that I've been on the birth center, intact perineum. So my supervised repairs are blank, but I'm trying to get as many as I can on labor ward now that I'm on labor ward for 4 months. Hopefully I will get the time to get my suturing done. So you basically have to write the date, the person that's observing you, a few details about the trauma, the degree, and then get that signed off. So that's that. and then they just said and then here is just your perineum repair. It says achieved, not achieved, and they just basically tick if you've achieved it, tick if you've not achieved it, and then they sign it. And then your manager will also have a look at this and sign it to see whether you need more time to achieve what you need to achieve, or if you have achieved everything and you can keep it moving. So what else is there? So this is the structure of my preceptorship program. I think you can't see it, so I'm going to read it out to you. So this is my rotation and where I'll be up until the 12 months. So I started off in DAU. I was there for 3 weeks, and then I was on birth center. I was there for 3 months, and then I went to antenatal clinic. I was there for a week, and now I am on delivery suite, and I'll be there. I started in June and I'll be there up until September. After delivery suite, I'll go to the postnatal ward from September to November, and then I'll have my progression section after that, and then I move on to antenatal ward from November to December, and then I'll be doing inductions on the antenatal ward from December to January, and then I have my elective week in January, and then I'm out in the community from January to February, and then my preceptorship is finished. That is basically all for this book. Am I missing anything out in terms of preceptorship program? My journey so far as a preceptorship program has been good. I've been supported, you know, to the best that they can. They've given me all the support that I need. I have a lot of people that I can go to if I am worried about things, if I'm not being supported. My manager is great. Like I have her number. I am able to call her. Not call her, obviously. Well, I can if it's an emergency, but I'm able to like message her, drop her a message if I'm worried about something, if my rota isn't done right, if I've got any like problems, or if the shifts are done wrong or whatever. I can literally message my manager and she will sort it out straight away. So my preceptorship program has been good so far. There's areas that could do with some improvements. Not everything is great, not everything is amazing. There's areas, or there's times where I turn up on shift and there's literally no senior midwife for me to work with, and I'm literally supported at a distance. I don't have anyone to kind of buddy up with me. So there are times where they're short on staff and I don't have like a buddy, and I'm only like allocated to someone that will come and, you know, oversee what I'm doing, or if I have any questions about anything, I can go to her. So there are those kind of scenarios that are happening. You know, not everything is perfect, not everything is great, but there's a lot of good within my preceptorship program at the moment, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, it's been great so far. I started in March and we are currently 1st of July, so yeah, it's been good, it's been great. I've learnt a lot. When I tell you I have learnt a lot, there are times where I'm just stressed out, or I'm thinking about work when I get home. Did I sign this? Did I sign that? Did I give this information on handover? Did I tell this midwife about this? You know, there are times where I get home and I'm just like, I am stressed, but you know, I'm learning, I'm getting there, I will get there, I'll be great. So yeah, that's basically it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you guys have any more questions, please drop them below, send me a DM. I'm happy to do a part 2 of this video if I've left anything out. And if you guys have any more videos that you want me to do, or any topics that you want me to discuss or talk about, be sure to drop them down below in the comment section. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, as I create some midwifery related content over there, like some reels and some educational posts. And you know, sometimes I film when I'm at work if I'm able to. So yeah, make sure you follow me over there so you're not missing out on all the amazing content. But that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.